Hey, well, hello and good evening. And it's a slightly different look to things this evening that I'm just getting to grips with. Hey, there you are. How's everybody doing? Enjoying that music in the background? Let's turn that up again for a minute. I think Lee is saying, gardening show, not a music show. Let's get rid of that. I'm bringing him onto the screen. He's dancing, though. Hello, Lee. Good evening to you, Papa McGrady. How are you doing?
A bit of techno to introduce the show. That's different. That will confuse people.
I've lost the theme tune. We'll talk to Garvo and get that back. Good evening to you. Good evening to Anna in Devon, where it's above 20. I'm getting a little bit hot and sticky over there, as it is for John as well. Good evening to all of you. Let's check in with you first. How are you doing?
Me or Anna?
Anna.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Just about managing with the temperatures, which is mid-20s here at the minute. So, yes, been out a little bit this afternoon, and it's been quite a full-on last couple of days. I went to Silverton one day this weekend and saw a friend, and then went up to Sidmouth on one of the other days, and then Friday it was my birthday, so did a bit of radio and lots of fun, and had my cake on the next day because we had a bit of a extended day out, and it's literally been a full 7 days, and straight back into it again. So just come around from all the partying and straight back into work mode. So
birthday from the Queen of England, by the sound of it, there, Anna. So on behalf of this whole community here, good morning, Portugal, and the Get Out and Grow show crew. Happy birthday to you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great to hear about your lovely festivities and celebrations, and a really brilliant present that we might talk about a little bit later on. I think John is quite fascinated by as well.
Yes,
indeed. John, how are you?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. I had quite a nice weekend up in Bath because I went to see my sister up there. We haven't done for quite a while to go up to Bath. It was very nice. Train journey up there was quite busy, but that's trains, I suppose.
How it goes sometimes, isn't it? And for anybody listening around the world, meeting people in Bath is not a water-saving gesture or attempt in these drought-ridden times. It's a spa town, an ancient, historical, and beautiful spa town in the west of the United Kingdom, isn't it, John? Lovely place, beautiful. Yes, I'm going to take that as a yes. What about you, Papa McGrady? You got some news since we last saw you. A seedling.
Yeah, I've got a little baby. 7 days old now. So,
wow.
Well, 8 days. 8 days.
Family, Lee. Fantastic. So,
thank you very much.
Eve and Papa McGrady here. How are you in the evenings? Is she sleeping well? Everybody okay?
She's pretty much perfect. Yeah. We're getting by. It's always the first couple of weeks are always the hardest. We'll get over it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, and everyone's getting used to each other. Fantastic. Well, congratulations to you. Lots of love to Sandra as well, and the whole family there. So, what a lovely time! Birthdays being celebrated here in this last week here on the Get Out and Grow show. Thanks to Deagle for being here. Andrew, we want the show. We want the show. Was the chant going up? We were a couple of minutes late. We're just getting used to this new look. Is it too harsh on the eye, do we think, with all the sunflowers and the greenery? We'll take your guidance on that, our dear audience. Mike Tomatoes, look at this. First question in for Lee. And I know, Lee, we've got a pile of questions, including the dreaded canna leaves, which I think you've got something to say about, with those so-called invasive species. But this quickie here, perhaps, from Deagle, who's joining us tonight. Thanks, Deagle, for joining us, as is Oregonians. Loving Portugal, fantastic. Facebook user Stephen Wells, Matty, as well as the aforementioned Andrew. Tomato struggling to redden. Should I sit tight this week with sunshine or cut, bring indoors and ripen? Oh, that's a tricky decision, isn't it?
No, I'd always sit tight and let them ripen on the stem. They always taste better when they've ripened on the stem. Okay. I always find if you take them off when they're too green, the skin gets thicker than necessary.
Yeah.
It's the same if you leave them on the stem for too long as well. They can become thick and chewy then as well. So leave them on the stem. Don't redden up. Keep feeding them as usual. They'll be fine. Yeah.
And just pick one every now and then and see what it's like, right?
Oh, I strip them by the hundreds at the moment. We're sick of them. I'm giving them away. Giving them away. But okay. I've just we did some large plum tomatoes this year. I only did 12 plants, and we've literally had a carrier bag off every week for the last 8 or 9 weeks. So today I've made the decision to rip them out, and I'm putting cherry tomatoes in the same spot. It's still not too late to start.
Wow.
So I'm buying, I've ripped them all out today, and I'm buying some small plug cherry tomatoes tomorrow, and they're going to go in the tomato bed. So we'll get some cherries before the end of the year.
All right. So professional gardener, you don't mind buying plugs. You're not growing everything from seed at your place.
The last couple of years, I've done everything from seed, but this year I knew I was going to be far too busy.
Yeah.
So, and plugs are really cost effective as well.
Okay.
And they just save a hell of a lot of time and a lot of effort. But it's also late in the year to start seeds now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're wasting an extra, 8-9 weeks from the plug that I can buy, will be 8 to 10 weeks on already. So I'm just saving myself time at this time of year.
Fabulous.
But
okay.
Yeah, we've done pretty much everything this year has been done from plug. I've done very little seeding this year. So
great stuff. Okay. Well, tomato pictures coming in from Victoria. Thank you for those, Victoria, as well. We will show those.
Victoria had quite a good question there as well. Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to that. And just a few greetings before we get into the questions with you, Anna. Boutard says, Deagle, before asking that question, everyone from a pleasant hot Belfast and blue skies. 21 today, get to 26 by Thursday, Friday, warm all week. What a lovely week for you ahead of you there, Deagle. And an 8-foot sunflower yet to bloom, a few 6 to 7 foot ones. That's lovely. So good timing on our new look on the screen this afternoon. Stephen, good evening to you. What are you growing at the moment, Stephen? It's like a man cave almost here tonight. Ola Botard as well from Matty as well. And Facebook user, the legendary Facebook user saying hello, everyone. OLP, hi, Carl, Lee, Anna, John, and Get Out and Grow crew. John's back now. And a happy belated, beautiful birthday to you, Anna, from the OLP there. And from Fiona, our dear friend Fiona. Evening, everyone. That was waiting patiently on YouTube. Nothing came up, then got the FB notification. Remembered the StreamYard thingy. It's working. Congratulations to Lee and Sandra, and welcome to the world, Eve. No. And Ola Botard Gardeners from Victoria as well, whose tomatoes we're going to show off. Yes, pictures of cherry tomatoes. And Phil Ruff is in with that canna question as well. He needs a canny solution to canna problems. Botard Gardeners. So over to you then. Oh, John, do you want to give everybody a prompt on this?
So, if you did forget to let Anna know about your question or have only just thought of one, let us know here.
Thank you very much, John. So over to you, Anna. What do we got?
Yeah, I've noticed a couple down. I think I forgot if they came in last week when we weren't doing a live stream. So if I've repeated them again, apologies. But I've a couple of live stream ideas as well, I think. But we've got one from Will, who says, I'm curious to know what vegetables can be planted now at this time of year in Portugal. And he had a few live stream ideas as well, which I'm happy to mention a little bit later as well.
Okay, well, let's jump in with the veg then. Let's crack on with the veg question. If you're looking to start growing for the winter months, that's really quite simple. Start going for your broccolis, your cabbages, even potatoes go quite well in containers here. You can get them out in the sun when we've got decent sun in the winter months. But again, as I repeat all the time, because Portugal is such a varied climate, what I can grow here in Lisbon is very different to what can be grown in the Algarve, and that's extremely different to what can be grown up in the north. So again, my best advice would be to go to your local agricultural store, see what they're selling, ask their advice, because it is so varied here that give yourself that head start by asking at the agricultural store, and they'll give you the perfect advice for it. But like I said, I'm still planting stuff now for this summer because we have such a long growing period. like 247, 248 days in the Lisbon area. So I'm still planting veg for the summer. I'm not even thinking about my winter veg yet.
Isn't that lovely?
So, yeah.
What a great position to be in. That's fantastic. Superb. Thank you very much there, Anna, for that first question from Will. There was another part to it. He had some suggestions, which we should perhaps be writing down right now.
Yes, I think these were ideas. I noted them down just in case. But he sort of had he was sort of suggesting sort of ideas such as teaching people how to defend their crops from, as he put it, raiders.
All right.
He also mentioned sort of making homemade fertilizers, saving seeds for next crops, underground greenhouses as a solution. And I don't know. I think he was possibly joking a little bit with this one, possibly. But he said, he actually said, and does locking yourself with your plants until the CO2 levels go up help them grow faster?
He might be joking, but it's actually true.
Is it?
God, yeah. In all the where all the houseplants are grown, all the proper industrial nurseries, where they've got contained proper greenhouses, they pump CO2 in to increase the CO2 levels in the greenhouses to help things grow quicker. If you go back in the planet's history, sort of around the dinosaurs and pre-dinosaurs, the CO2 level was massive on the planet, and the plants grew to a ginormous size. And that's exactly what they do in the greenhouses now. And what they will do, and what they're already starting to do in the industrial growing units where they're using LED lights to grow salad crops, they're pumping the CO2 levels, and it really does make things grow better.
There you go. He's onto something there, isn't he? I think,
yeah.
Will. And you never know if he's got his tongue in his cheek or not with Will. But those ideas are fantastic. Did you want to pick out any of those particular ideas? Underground greenhouses, Wallapini growing, I think that's called, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's technically it's a buried cold frame, so it's not really a greenhouse per se. If you put in the greenhouse, I know some people drop the greenhouse a little bit in, but that's only ever a foot or two. Yeah. But you can actually put a cold frame in, and you can go 4 or 5 feet down if you're on an embankment, especially, because the temperature below ground is always higher than on the ground surface in the winter.
Yeah. Okay.
So buried cold frames have been used again for a millennia. Right. The Egyptians were doing it. The Romans perfected it. So it's not a new idea, and it's quite popular in some parts of the world.
Okay, that famous Roman grower, John, Cropus Maximus, I think. I could feel a joke coming on from John Agate, but I thought I'd jump in there first. So if come back to us, John, if you've got anything else.
Well, I was just thinking, you can't really drop the
can I just interrupt?
Yes, John
made me laugh earlier. I made a post on Facebook about planting trees.
Yes.
And within minutes, his first answer was up, and it made me chuckle all afternoon.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go.
Thank you, John, very much for that. Anna, what else do we have? Where next?
Let's see. We've got there's one that's a little bit of an idea. We also have a question from Fiona as well, I think, who says, I'd love to see more on the process of starting food forests, what to plant where, how to protect young trees properly from the elements. I'm not doing great with this at all. And also says how to go about protecting your crops and always need new ways to deter our abundant wildlife and hens, ducks and geese.
A lot in there. Thank you very much for that, Fiona.
It's almost a show on its own doing food forest, because it is. I mean, some people make it look so easy, but it's the preparation that people put in beforehand, looking at the environment you've got, looking at where your frost points are, looking at the gradient of your hill, deciding how much sunlight you're going to get, working out how much sunlight you're going to get all year round on certain parts of the garden. I think there's going to become an industry, or there is already becoming an industry of people that go and give advice on this particularly because it's not a natural ecosystem. People think it looks natural, and technically it's not a natural way of growing things. You're taking advantage of the shade, or you're taking advantage of the sunspots, and then at certain periods of the year and at certain years, in the tree growth. They need to be treated differently. So some trees will have to be pruned back heavily, where others can be let to go wild. Yeah, it's not an easy subject to cover on a face chat without having an environment to stand back and look at.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think Phil might have something to say on it. Phil, how was your weekend? Do you want to do a bit of a permaculture forest gardening primer for us at some point, which could be an interesting show? I'd love you two to meet. So sorry, Lee, I interrupted you there.
Sorry, no, there's no problem. Protection of trees, you're protecting it from the environment, and you're also protecting it from the wildlife. So to protect it from the environment, it's using the trees to block wind, using the trees to protect the smaller trees from frost, and then you could wrap the trees in a plastic guard to stop the deer and the pigs. It's putting trees in tree pits so they gain more water, so they get more water directly to the roots. Or it's if you know someone that's an expert on it, you really need to speak to them, because I could ramble all day and not make any sense about it. It's so complicated. You need to break it down into trees, plants, wild plants, natural plants that you want to let grow and not kill off. So it's a bigger subject than what we've covered in the last year doing just this. You know, you can actually do a podcast on that alone.
Of course, no, understood. And we might, of course, we could do that, couldn't we, as all of this grows and grows. So, Phil, the invitation is there for you to do that. I hope that's helped Fiona, who also asks, noticed seeds I have restarted recently grow like crazy. Beans are 9 inches tall. We're only just put in compost 4 days ago. Madness. We'll be getting some cherry tom plugs, though, to extend the season as our top struggle this year, or our toms, that probably is. Did produce, but not enough to can. So she's canning. I'd like to know how you do that, Fiona. Why is that? Why is this late planting going so crazily?
Right, okay. The late planting is not going crazy. This is how it should be. We've got we've got perfect weather for it. We had a bit of a hot spell a few weeks ago, which was a bit dire for everybody. If you weren't giving your plants enough water, or if they were getting too much direct sunlight, like my courgettes were. My courgettes slowed right down during that hot spell.
Yeah.
I had 5 or 6 small courgettes and they barely moved an inch, where a few weeks before they were going inches every day.
Yes.
You know. But Fiona mentioned there about finding it difficult to find plug plants at this time of year. Now, they're available in every store I walk past, or every store I go into for working. But I spoke to Matty the other day, and he's over in Pambal.
Yeah.
And he went to 4 different stores and couldn't find any.
This is what he's saying.
I'm not sure if it's a regional thing. But like I said, I would have no problem. I could walk down the street and find some in the Chinese shop. I'm sure they're selling them. But out in Pambal, he was really struggling.
Okay.
It is a little bit late at the moment to be starting them from seed, because like I said, you're losing that 8 to 10 weeks of seed and plug time, where you really want to get them, and now as a good foot high plants. So maybe I could buy a load from Lisbon and send them out in little packages, make some money on it.
Yes, I think that's a great idea. An entrepreneurial opportunity there. I was driving around half a day to finally find a place I could buy tomato plants. Seems not to be the time. They're sold here in Pambal. Exactly what you were saying there. However, let's stick with tomatoes, because we've got so many tomato pictures to share. 2 pics from my first tomatoes plant project in plastic bottles. One should be apple-shaped, the other heart-shaped. Time will tell. So let's have a look at those bad boys on here. And I think he's very grateful to you, Lee, for the help he's received and guidance in growing these. There they are in their little greenhouses. On that patio next to the aloe vera. I recognise that aloe vera leaf. The miracle plant. Well done,
that should be in the bin.
There's a close up there. Au contraire, Anna and Matty sorted that out, that little aloe plant. Not so little, in fact. And mini greenhouses for the tomatoes. So great job there, Matty. You can be very proud of yourself. I think we're going to Victoria's balcony in the Algarve now. Thank you very much for these as well. Yeah, these are Victoria's. A couple more shots up there. There's a vertical angle on there, and some more. Are you going to have an abundance at sometime soon? I think there, Victoria.
I think Victoria's struggling a little bit with the tomatoes. I mean, they look great as they stand, but she put a question in earlier about the flowers dropping off.
Oh, go on.
The truss isn't developing tomatoes.
Right.
But I asked her to send me some pictures, and I think these might be
They are
the ones.
yeah. There's still flowers on there.
Yeah, she said that the first trusses, as they're called on a tomato plant, the first flower stems.
Yes.
She's lost the flower, but she's not getting the ball tomato, the small tomato seed, or the small tomato growing on them.
Yeah.
So my first advice from looking at the pictures, they could really do with being thinned out a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you go in and take off, so especially some of the lower stems of the leaf, remove them, and also if your truss is coming up with a leaf branch underneath it, remove that leaf branch as well. And another thing I've noticed with the pots there is I don't know where you're adding your water for them, but they also need feeding this time of year. So a good off-the-shelf tomato feed will be really useful for them, especially with them being in containers. And because they're on a balcony and they're in the city, they're not going to get the pollinating bees and wasps that are going to visit them.
Yeah.
So you need to get a cotton bud, and you need to gently touch each of the flowers and touch on from on and become the bee. It's actually quite good fun. It becomes addictive. That's what I have to do on my balcony when I was growing tomatoes. You have to pollinate them yourself using a little cotton bud, because obviously if they're not pollinated, then they won't develop into fruit.
Okay, so a little bit of help, a little bit of intervention there. While we're looking at tomatoes, I hope that helps, Victoria. And they're looking good over in Belfast there. Thank you, Deagle, for those pictures. Or are they yours? I think these are Deagle's. I might be getting them confused with Louise, who sent in some pictures as well. I'll be able to clarify on that. But let me just say at the moment, there's a mixture. That looks like Portugal, and certainly some of Louise's blooms there, and a bit of a crop from Louise as well. Look at those tomatoes. Oh, my goodness. There's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 varieties possibly there, aren't there, in the foreground?
I thought you were going to start counting all the tomatoes.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Bear with me. Bear with me a minute. And then some seedlings there, and I'll clarify what's going on here. I think that is Louise who sent in pictures. Thank you so much, Louise, for those. We do appreciate yours and anybody's pictures in on 913-590-303 on the WhatsApp line. Yes, that's your produce, your flowers, and those seeds. What are they there? Portugal, tudo bem, like that. Oh, Carl. A few pickies for tonight. Harvest, Cosmos, feeling the heat. Yeah, those were Cosmos.
Yeah.
Right here. Beautiful blooms there, the Cosmos. And yes, isn't it amazing how they can sit there facing the sun all day long in the way that we can't? And a next sowing of peas to enjoy pea shoots in salad. So there's another thing you can stick in the ground now, right? And then you can eat the pea shoots, right?
Yeah, it's peas are genuinely should have been done at the start of the year.
Yeah.
But if you've got a good shady spot, you could still, like I said, we've got that massive growing period, that massive growing time here. You can still get away with growing them now, and they'll be producing. And the great thing is with the peas, you can start off 1 million seedlings, and you can actually eat the pea shoot. You don't need to wait for the actual pea.
Yes,
you can eat the little few first inches that come up.
Yes,
and
indeed.
They cost nothing to buy for the seed packets, so it's brilliant. Yeah.
And we do have a pea shoot grower in our company this evening, do we not, Anna? I think you were a bit of an expert on growing pea shoots at the Hannah's Garden.
Yes, it's quite a while since we've done it. Although we have got a hit here in the house. We've got one of those. I'm trying to remember what they call it now. The sort of multi feeders that you can put water in, and it sort of goes through from the top down to the base layer. We sort of tried all sorts of sort of pea shoots and different beans as well. And I do happen to remember, partly from the horticulture days, that mice have a little bit of a liking for pea shoots. So yes, do watch out for mice if you're growing those, because they find them very easily, it seems.
Yeah, well said. And you were growing those, weren't you, for a bistro application? It was like a nice little market garden setup, growing those on rotation, and they were being taken off and used in a bistro. Fantastic job. Thank you, Anna. John, what's this? You've got a little bit of a tomato intervention, have you? Talking of trusses.
Yeah, so that's unmuted now. Good. As the is it the stems? They're called trusses. I thought as long as they're not called Liz truss, You should be okay.
Oh, this is a gardening show, not a politics show. Thank you
Not
very much.
politics, but we can still have the jokes because it is
Yes,
also
yes,
gardening
true.
related.
Nice one, John. Excellent stuff. Phil's back at us with that suggestion. I'm planning on taking a week-long course on food forestry, agroforestry in October, September. So maybe after that course. Yes! Result there. And Fiona saying it's the sun and wind which has fried the trees and bushes, I think. Need a temporary shade developed before trying again. Thanks, though, Lee.
Yeah.
There.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. You've really got to stand back and look at how your land suffers and what you can get away with, and then use your trees to make that shade. So even if you're going trees that aren't going to produce a fruit and you're going to use them purely for shade, then that's something you can consider for your food forest. Yeah. So
very good.
yeah, she's just confirming what I was saying earlier.
All right, we just can't get away from tomatoes. We will get to canna, an invasive species, soon. Got to make sure we get this in. Congratulations, Lee, on your beautiful baby girl. Much happiness to you and your family there as well from OLP. And Pete, the tips of my tomatoes have gone black. Too much direct sunlight, he thinks. Is it too windy to put up shade cloth? Any ideas on a long-term solution for that particular problem there for Pete?
You can actually pick off the tops. I've seen it. It's quite a common issue.
Yeah.
The top of the plant is obviously the most delicate bit because it's a new bit. It gets too much direct heat, too much direct sunlight, and it just starts to die off. But if you prick it out with your finger and you allow 2 shoots to come up instead, select the best one, pick that off, you'll have no problem. It will carry on growing and become a fruit-producing plant.
Okay.
So don't panic about it. Don't throw them away. Just prick off the top with your finger.
Yeah.
Let 2 more shoots come out, and then select one to let that grow on.
Are we saying tonight here? I mean, there are people having problems, but in many ways, are tomatoes the easiest thing to grow in Portugal?
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say they were the easiest, but they are. They're quite simple back in England as well. To be honest, they're not. There's nothing. There's nothing difficult. As long as you're keeping out for the pests and the green flies on the early doors, and as long as you're picking your harvest regular and checking your plant regular, then they are quite simple. But I mean, the simplest thing to grow, as always, anywhere is lettuce. Perpetual lettuce is it's a weed. Technically, it's just a weed. All right. And it's fantastic.
Okay. And a rich theme of comedy, I think, for lettuce there for you, John. Okay. My tomatoes have been moved to the spot where the aloe almost died. What? As Lee told me, they need loads of sun. Okay, well, let's see what happens there. Maybe you'll need
mine are in
week's time.
I've always grown mine in direct sunlight. Even my container tomatoes are in direct sunlight.
Yes.
They obviously need more water because of that.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested to see how we go on being in plastic containers, because I've always grown them in terracotta pots here in Portugal.
Yeah.
Just because it retains the water better and it stops the roots from getting burnt. So it'll be interesting to see how you get some.
Oh, what, plastic pots get hot and then burn the roots?
Yes, yeah. I don't use. I dislike plastic. In England, they're absolutely fine.
Yes.
In Portugal, they're expensive.
Yes.
Oh, for the decent ones, they're expensive, and I don't think the plants do as well. The terracotta pots, they keep the soil cooler and they help retain water.
And it's the other way around. They're not that expensive, are they? Sometimes.
Yeah, they're dirt cheap. Yeah, they're dirt cheap.
It's a really good bargain. So when you arrive in Portugal, if anyone's coming here, don't be put off by the prices of the vintage terracotta that you've been paying in the UK. Really good value here, because I think they make them in en masse, don't they?
Well, from the small sort of 3/4 of a litre pots, they're around 75 cents. Going up to the 3 litre pots, they can be as little as €2 each. $2.25. I mean, I can't believe I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Why use plastic when you can get?
I've got a collection of terracotta pots at the side of the shed that would be unaffordable in England. I don't use them. I've got that many. I've ended up stacking them.
Excellent.
It's craziness. Yeah.
All right. Facebook user, I'm not sure who you are. My scented lemon geraniums are suffering from the heat. The leaves are drying out. I wasn't sure if I was overwatering them. They are situated in terracotta pots. Look, on a wall with our terrace. We'll try and send a photo. So I'll see who that is. And that's come in. And,
when you see your lemon geraniums starting to suffer, get a good pair of secateurs, take them back to the last good growth.
Oh.
Because they go through good growth spurts. And again, it's always the delicate new bits that really burn, or the really big leaves that burn. But you should be stripping those big leaves off anyway when they're starting to brown off. But cut back to the last good growth. And the bloody geraniums, they grow in the right conditions to grow like wildfire. So just cut them back, get rid of that dead stuff, and let the new stuff come through.
Perfect. Thank you for that. There you go. I was going to call you FU, Facebook user, but that's probably not a very good thing to do. Thanks so much, Lee. There are no bees coming inside the apartment. Stop it, John. Thank you so much, Lee. There are no bees coming inside the apartment block. There you go. Self-fertilization, if you see what we mean.
Pollinization. Self-pollinization. You don't want to fertilize it in yourself, because that's got a whole different image in my head.
Okay, what you do on your own balcony is your business. I love pea shoots, olive oil and garlic. There we go. Nice recipe. It's not a cooking show. It's a gardening show. So Victoria, time to get your bee outfit. And do you have to dress up as well, Lee? Does that help?
You don't have to dress up, no. Just get a cotton bud and touch each individual flower with it.
All right. What lettuce is that, Lee? Oh, and how long last tomato plants are the perennials? Not sure what that is, what he's saying there. But how long last the tomato plants? Are they perennials? No, your tomato plants will die, won't they? Annuals, right?
I know some people that keep them for much longer than I do. I've had them on the balcony that 10 foot tall, to the point where I had to throw them out because they were taking over. Right. But no, I use the tomatoes up until the point of when they stop producing enough to justify watering and looking after them. Then I just rip them out and start again.
Okay.
I didn't get the rest of the question.
What lettuce is that? What's know which particular kind of lettuce? Flat leaf, right? Or
but if you look on the packaging, any lettuce, but you use it as a perpetual lettuce, so you can sow any lettuce seed, and as the leaves start to develop into maybe 10 or 12 leaves, snip off the top with a pair of scissors. Use that and it will regrow, and you'll get away with that for weeks and weeks.
There you go.
And with a from sowing to your first crop is no more than sort of 7 to 8 weeks, and they will last again for another up to 6 or 7 weeks before they start to shoot up a seeding stem or a flowering stem.
Yes.
Even then, you can cut that back and you can reuse the bigger leaves that come through. But I, at that point, normally rip them out and reseed.
Yes.
So as soon as it sends out the flower stem, rip them out and reseed, and never let them become lettuce. Just keep them as perpetual lettuce providers.
Only cucumbers to grow then for that classic Portuguese salad. Maybe we'll touch on cucumbers, as it were, next week, because we've got to move on. Pete's what needs a bit more clarification here. The bottom of the fruit, his bottom's gone black, not the leaves. So what?
The bottom of the tomato's gone black.
Yes, John.
Yeah, pick them up and throw them away.
Throw them at somebody.
Okay. Yeah, it could, if they're in containers, it could possibly be overwatering. So if your container should have a drain hole in the bottom, and you should have some stone or some drainage material in the bottom of that pot. I don't think it's too much temperature. I think it's probably an overwatering issue, or you've got too much foliage on. That can be another issue as well. Having too much foliage, you don't see the tomato developing the same. You don't have that eye on every day, and you just let it pass its best.
Okay. All right. A quickie then before we go to your excellent statement there, Phil. Lee, I have a Pitanga plant. Pitanga. In a pot, seems to do well for a while, then gets brown edged leaves and gets a droop on. That's not a good thing, is it? Wondering if it's in the wrong kind of compost. I don't think it's over or underwater. Tried it in and out of the sun. Same thing every time. Kind of attached this plant as it belonged to my landlord. Oh dear. That might have to come out of the deposit. So what is a Pitanga plant and what's she doing wrong?
There's a Pitanga plant is quite a wide variety of Pitangas. If you're going to get an image up, you'll see, if you type in, you'll see there's, depending on how you grow them, how you start them from seed, and the actual type of plant, they grow in many different ways. The droopiness, they tend to only really droop at the end of the year, and that's when you're prepping to cut off that stem anyway. And if you tried it in the sun and out of the sun, I'm not really sure. Again, it might be a drainage issue. But I'd just check under each of the stems just check and make sure there's no infestation, because that's quite common this time of year, or like a mildew, like a white dusty effect. If it is that, a little bit of soapy water. That's actually a good idea as well. You could add a soap to your washing liquid, to your soap that you're going to, add washing liquid, just a little squirt into the water you're going to use, water the plant, and that'll help get rid of any disease inside the soil as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
They are beautiful. I would call those tomatoes, but is that a different? What sort of fruit is that? Is it a sweeter, fruitier fruit? If you see what I mean.
No, you get some that are just grown for the foliage as well, and you get some that are grown for the fruit. So, like I said, there's a massive variety of them.
What do they taste like?
I don't know. I don't like them. I do. Yeah, I don't particularly like them, and I don't really grow them. I think they're too slow in growth, and they're not my cup of tea.
All right, very good. Thank you.
I like to stick to the veg that I know and I know how to grow, and I know that I like it. Like I've always said, I grow my 5 top shopping list veg, just to minimise the effort I've got to put in and to maximise what I get back and what money I save.
Well said. Okay, so Pete's going to send you a picture about his blacked bottom tomatoes. I feel a Queen song coming on. Can I start with lettuce now? Says Matty.
Yep.
Should I get small seeds or should I get plants?
Because lettuce grows so quickly, you could actually start with seeds. But again, I get 12 plugs for €1, and 12 plugs is plenty for 2 families because they produce that much. So go for both. If you've got enough space, get enough plugs. If it's just Matty on his own, maximum of 5 or 6 plugs. In a line, nicely spaced, maybe 10 inches apart in a line, and then seed down the side of that. And then by the time they're passing off, your plugs are passing off, your seeds are coming through.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
You can keep that rotation going then. As days pass away, your seeds coming through, you can put seed in where your plugs have died off, then you've got a constant lettuce supply that even a vegetarian couldn't get rid of.
Okay. That's even a vegetarian couldn't get rid of, or a rabbit. Right, we'll come back to this. It's our final thing this evening. Everybody, please put in the chat your 5 favorite veggies that you intend to grow. Okay, that's a really good question. However, the thing that's going on now that's really important, I know Lee wants to address, is I asked what's the easiest. Phil says tomatoes are the second easiest. The easiest thing to grow in Portugal is the canapa, is the bamboo like weed. You don't have to do anything and it just grows. You just think about it and it grows. You don't even have to think about it and it grows. They are extraordinary. So what have you got to say about this? And what's the exact question there, Anna?
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, Steve is here. Oh, my goodness. Hold on. Hold the front page. Let's put a... Oh, bless you, little sweetheart superstar. There she is. Oh, my word, little Eve. Hello.
And she's come all dressed up for the show with strawberries and cherries and apples.
What a debut. Thank you, Papa McGrady.
Okay, say goodbye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, what a heart-melting moment. Oh, that's it. We can stop, can't we?
Yeah.
No, we've got to talk about that. Oh, what a beauty. What a beauty, Lee. Yes, canna plants.
I spent a lot of time back in the UK dealing with and advising on invasive species, and this is just the same in Portugal. I see it on every roadside verge. I see it at the edge of every farm field. It's an absolute nightmare.
Yes.
And as you know, I have no issues with using herbicide in my professional capacity.
Yeah.
And I would say the same with the cannas.
Yeah.
Mow them down, cut them down, trim them down, get rid of as much as you can physically, and then nuke the whole area and expect not to use it for 2 years.
Really?
Because you're going to have to, well, because it's a root-based plant and it will grow from, if you leave the slightest bit of rooting, it will develop from that and it will spread from that. So the only real way to get rid of them is to mow it down, and as the new leaves come through, attack them with the herbicide, and as the new leaves come through again, attack them with the herbicide. And that's going to be a minimum of a 2 to 3 year project.
Oh my God.
So you've got to be able to set your land aside purely for that. And then you want to leave it for a year afterwards to make sure you've got no residual herbicide left in the ground.
Yeah.
So depending on the size of the ground and the amount of cane you've got to get rid of.
Yes.
and it's something we should be doing now. I sent you a picture earlier of the spread of it.
Yeah.
And it's right across the planet now, and it's invasive everywhere.
Okay. So hold on a minute. You that was specifically mentioning does everyone know it around the world as canna? Is that what people call it?
If you look, it's got about 30 different names.
And that's it.
But yeah, all the red bits where it's invasive.
Yes.
And Portugal is on that there, and it's all the way from Australia, a little bit in Portugal, Spain, and then across to South America, and then up into America, and then up into like Canada and Alaska. It's everywhere.
Wow.
So, and it's technically, it doesn't produce anything. It is purely decorative grass, really. People use it for screening out noise and for making a quick growing wall, like bamboo.
It is like bamboo.
Yeah. It's awful stuff.
Awful stuff. Okay.
Well, no. If you look back at what we have in the UK, if we go back, because we're part English, part Portuguese shop, so we can do it. The Himalayan balsam, the Japanese knotweed, the Himalayan ragwort. These are all invasive species that we've lost the battle with. You know, the 3 of the 5 worst plants in the weeds in the UK.
Yes.
But if everyone made a conscious effort to get rid of them, then it would be doable.
Yes.
And the canna's the same here in Portugal. You know, if everyone made the conscious effort, but it would have to be a nationwide effort.
Okay. Well, I found an interesting website here, invasores.pt, which I think is aimed at dealing with invasive plants. It looks like the ice plant has made it onto there. Is an ice plant an invasive weed as well? Is it so beautiful?
It is pretty, but again, it's growing into the nature areas, it's going into the sand dunes.
Well, I know
you can find it all along the coast where we are here, and it's going wild all along the coast. And it stops the sunlight getting through to the soil. It stops other plants from growing, the same as a cane plant does.
Okay.
The same as the Himalayan balsam, the Japanese knotweed do in England.
Yes.
It's people look at the wild boar and see what damage they're doing and complain about it. They look at the grey squirrel and see what damage they're doing and complain about it. But what they don't realise is there are sort of the top 10 weeds, and they are weeds because they are always the plant in the wrong place. Yes. They do far more damage to the ground and to river embankments and to marsh areas than all the mammals in the world. You know, they are horrendously disruptive.
Fair enough. So in the UK, says Fiona, people should harvest the Himalayan balsam. The weed seed pods are incredibly nutritious. So maybe we just haven't figured out what the gift is from nature with the canna yet.
The UK government took a bold move about 10 years, no longer, 15 years ago. And they made it against the law to sell land that's got Himalayan balsam and Japanese knotweed on it.
Yeah.
So if you've got a plot of land you want to build on, you can't sell that land until the plant had been destroyed. And like all these things, they made a big show of it at the start, and then nobody ever followed through with it.
Yeah.
And it annoyed me because it felt like it was the ideal opportunity to start the fight back against it.
Yes.
But then that rule was never enforced, and people were selling land that was infested with it.
Yeah.
But then that soil gets removed because they scrape off the surface to build houses, and that soil gets dumped somewhere else, and then you're just spreading the problem around the country.
Okay. All right. Yeah. We are at 7 o'clock. It's actually the end of the show. And I've lost the music. It's like a pair of secateurs. I put them down in the garden, so I can't remember where I've put the video. So sorry if we didn't get to all your questions there. Where are we supposed to post our? Actually, let's do that in the Facebook group because that is such a good thread there. Maybe you, me, Anna, John. We can encourage people to post up their 5 favorite veggies or fruits, and then encourage them to grow them as well.
Is this the 5 favorite that we like to grow, or the 5 that we actually grow because they're at the top of our shopping list, which is the best advice you can give?
Okay, well, aren't they the same? Wouldn't they be the same? I guess.
No, because courgettes aren't at the top of my shopping list, but I do love to grow them.
Okay, all right. So,
so there you go.
Okay, let's go with both. Let's go with both of those 5 favorite veggies, and we'll narrow that down as we go on. Lee, thank you so much. We've not got our nice musical outro. I'm just going to turn the show off, actually, and hopefully we'll have music again next week. And thank you, everybody, for your wonderful contributions there. Very quickly, lettuce, tomatoes, courgettes, onions, and garlic for Matty. Thank you very much. Oh, says Pete, Preciosa for Eve. Oh, such a bundle of sweetness. What a cutie. Oh, bless her. This is fantastic. And guess what? The canners are resilient to all herbicides. So we really do have a problem on our hands there.
They're not. The residual. They're resilient against the herbicides you can buy over the counter.
Yeah.
The stuff that I can buy as a professional with a license, you can actually get stuff that contains a little bit of acid, because the canners actually have like a silicone within the leaf.
Yeah.
So the pesticide runs off it. But if you use the stuff that a professional can get, then you can burn your little holes into it. So, yeah.
My goodness, that sounds very, very threatening indeed. Okay, John, sorry to keep you. If you have got to go, fair enough. And I will just play a little bit of music and we'll slowly fade out. And we'll see you again next week. Thank you, everybody. And yes, go to our Facebook group, which is Get Out and Grow with the Happy Homesteaders. Ciao for now. I'll play that music. Here we go. Oh, we're raving out of the studio. Cheers, Lee. And cheers, Anna. Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for being here listening. Really appreciate it.